like, subscribe, and leave a comment. So here's your review of AEW Rampage and Dynamite, week commencing April 17th, but Rampage is the week prior. That's what we get in England. So if you can hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and hit the notification button, thank you so much. So Rampage starts with Best Friends versus Aussie Open in a really highly contested match. Really good match. Go and watch if you haven't seen it. But in the end, Aussie Open win. Then we have Jay Lethal, Singh, Jeff Jarrett, basically trying to get Mike Briscoe on their side to get him to join their faction. So we'll see what happens there. Then we have the FDR saying they're going nowhere. They're staying there, and it took them 2 years to get the titles back. And they've signed a new 4-year contract, so the FTR are going nowhere. They're staying in AEW. Then we have Hook, Isaiah, and the Hardys all ready to face the Firm. So we'll see what happens there. Sure, it'll be a good match. Then we had Mark Briscoe, Jay Singh, and Lethal versus some guys, and Mark got the victory. Mark Briscoe got the victory, so a really good match there. So then we also had an Elite versus the BCC flashback of all the trials and tribulations. Don Callis getting his head split open, all that good stuff, or bad stuff. So it showed you there. Then we had Tara Valkyrie versus Emi Sakura in a really good match, but in the end, Taya won, and then after the match, Jade Cargill comes down into the ring and they get into a brawl. So we all see what happens there. Then we had the JAS, part of the JAS, and a rapping. Then the Acclaim comes down, and obviously it turns into a fight. Then in the main event of the evening, we had Sean Spears versus Jungle Boy in a really good match. Go and watch, you haven't seen it, but in the end, Jungle Boy wins. So that's your review of Rampage. Then we go to Dynamite. Dynamite starts off with Jungle Boy basically coming out. As soon as he comes out about to say something, Sammy Guevara comes out. As soon as Sammy Guevara is going to say something, Darby Allin comes out. And they're all basically tearing each other down. They're saying to Sami Zayn, to Sammy Guevara, that he needs to stand in his own and stop standing behind Y2J, Chris Jericho, and be his own boss. Jungle Boy says, like the fans, don't know what he's really... Jungle Boy says he's a fan, but he doesn't know what he's really like. And then basically, they're all just going back and forth until MJF comes out, basically. So that we'll see what happens there. I think, and then basically what's going to happen is there's going to be a tournament to decide who's going to face MJF and who's going to be the last pillar standing, basically. That's how they're all combinated anyway. Then we have the Outcast versus Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter in a really good match, but in the end, Britt Baker won in her hometown. Then we had Wardlow there. He's in the back ready for his TNT title shot against Powerhouse Hobbs, and he's going to have backup from Arn Anderson, so we'll see what happens there. Then the Elite, they call out the BCC to squash the beef, squash all this violence that's happening. As Kenny was in the ring talking about squashing it, he gets jumped by the BCC, and then Bryan Danielson comes out, calls them all amateurs, and as it got a bit heated, Tanoski comes out for the save, and he basically cleans house. Hopefully I pronounced his name right. So we'll see what happens there. Then we had Wardlow versus Powerhouse Hobbs for the TNT Championship. Really good match, but in the end, Wardlow won, which makes no sense to me. Why even give Hobbs the title if you're going to have it for like 2 weeks? I thought he was going to have a nice long reign as a bad guy. He's even in there with QTTV. It makes no sense he loses the title this early, but whatever. But after he lost, Christian Cage comes out with Luchasaurus basically eyeing up that title, so we'll see what happens next. Then we have in the back, basically MJF offers Sami Zayn, I did this before, Sammy Guevara money to basically lay down at the next pay-per-view so he can defend his title. And then Sammy Guevara gives his price for what he would do to lay down, and MJF basically matches it. So at the moment they're in cahoots, so we'll see what happens there. Then we had Commander versus Jay White in a really good match in which Jay White won, but there was a brawl between Juice Robinson and Sean Spears, who was in the crowd. And then after that, Ricky Starks comes down and turns into a brawl, but they go running, so we will see what happens there. Then we had Mark Briscoe basically got injured in the back. They got beat down earlier, and FTR and Singh basically attend to him, and they all want to avenge the beat down, so we'll see what happens there. Then we have Chris Jericho and Adam Cole face off, going back and forth. Basically, Adam Cole said he idolizes Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho says he doesn't idolize or respect Adam Cole. and basically just turned into a brawl. And JAS members obviously come down. Britt Baker came down for the save, but then ended up getting jumped by the Outcasts and beat down with a kendo stick. So we will see what happens there. Then we had the JS versus the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn in a really good match, which the Acclaimed won. Then in the main event of the evening, it was Jungle Boy versus Sammy Guevara to advance in this 4-man tournament, whatever it is, to face MJF. And in the end, a really good match, but obviously Sammy Guevara is working with MJF. MJF comes down, hits Jungle Boy with the Dynamite Diamond Ring, and that results in him getting a count out. And then that means Sammy Guevara progresses in this tournament. So at the moment, next week is going to be Sammy. I think next week is going to be Sammy Guevara versus Darby Allin. The winner will face MJF. So we will see what happens. And MJF and Sammy Guevara have came to a deal where Sammy Guevara is going to lay down for MJF, but I doubt it. But like, subscribe, and leave a comment.